Afternoon.
Afternoon good.
Afternoon. Wherever you are listening.
I mean,
Could be
everywhere's an afternoon.
Huh?
You got to be in a certain mind state. When you hit the Zen state and you have a third eye, everywhere's an afternoon.
Time is a social construct.
Afternoon's always a delight.
Actually,
according to that song.
I like that. I like that idea. Anyway,
That probably could be the title.
Here we are. Episode 8. We think it's episode 8. Episode 7 was the last one, apparently. So
if numbers go right.
Yeah. Numbers are also...
If numbers go right.
Numbers also fucking hell, if I can speak. A social construct.
Everything's a social construct. Even these words that we are spouting out of our mouths.
Yeah. When you think about it, does this podcast even matter?
Does anything matter?
Well, we should end it here.
That's it. You've been listening to the past 7 weeks, 8 weeks.
That's the highlight. That's the highlight. That's the minute highlight that we're going to put out on the. Okay, it's a minute gone now, so this now isn't part of the highlight.
Okay,
but...
we should have a minute silence, shouldn't we?
Anyway, I am James.
My name's Chris,
and this is the Peter Spice Show, episode 8 of the main series of episodes. Again, still on schedule. Been a week since we last recorded. Anything exciting in the last week, Chris?
Trying to think what I even did.
What the hell did I do? What day we recorded on Friday?
What day is it today?
Today it's Friday. Friday was Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. So I went to see Leeds Rhinos, and that's what I did.
How was that?
Well, we won.
Okay, good news.
52-10.
52-10.
Or 54-10. We're one of the two. One of the two. Did smash it. Good little thing. Little run, by myself. Little ghost girlfriend. She enjoyed it.
Yeah, she loves the rugby. Yeah, we didn't really do it for Valentine's Day. We decided to just stay on Valentine's Day. Went up to Manchester on the Saturday instead, because we're unconventional like that. I don't know,
you think Valentine's Day is really the next day?
I just disagree. This is not because I'm not a romantic person, because I'm a romantic person, Chris. You know that.
Do I?
I just reject the idea of Valentine's Day. It's a capitalist holiday. Fuck capitalism, as always.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing.
But yeah, so we still did some. Went up to Manchester on Saturday. It was okay. The weather was shit. Storm. Is either Storm Derek or Storm Dennis? Which one was it?
Dennis.
Dennis.
Derek is the younger brother of Dennis, okay. And he was just wallowing about around the oceans and just leave my big brother to do it. And he was a bit of a sulky sort of younger brother really. But
I'm gonna call it Storm Derek. So yeah, Storm Derek.
Don't tell Dennis that.
But yeah, so that made it not as good as it could have been because it was just pissing it down all day. And then after that, not a lot really. Not a lot this week, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like I've done something, but I don't think I have.
Went skiing on Monday at Escape, just a little practice.
And did you?
I smashed it.
Smashed it.
Like I'd never been. Like I'd
what
never
was
been
your
off the piste.
What was your run for the Psalms?
What? This is the thing. The one actually the one. So if you hadn't picked this up, we live in Leeds. The ski slope nearby. It's not a very good one. It's not very long. There's not much variety to it.
I haven't been over there for a long time. So.
Yeah. So, but it's the first time I've done it in about 6 years or so. Like I'd never left.
Why are we going to do a big push for you to be in the Winter Olympics whenever they are? When is the Winter Olympics? Is that in 2 years? This year's Summer Olympics.
Yeah. Actually, as we were leaving, there is someone who does skiing for Team GB. She's from Leeds, and she practices there, and she was going as we were leaving. So there you go.
What, she went onto the slopes after you, after being inspired?
Yeah, she saw us doing it, and we're like, shit.
I need to get back on this.
Yeah.
Got 2 years to get to...
Like, she saw how good we were, but like, shit, they could catch me up sort of thing.
Shame they think you were that good and then ask you how you acquired these skills.
I can't reveal that, that's the thing. If they asked me, I couldn't tell them.
Just natural, isn't it?
Exactly. So, what I'm thinking we could sponsor a ski team. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
So we did say we're going to try and sponsor
Yorkshire Carnegie, Leeds Tykes.
They're probably going to be relegated. And
the sin bin we need to sponsor. That's what we're sponsoring.
We need to sponsor a sin bin.
Sin bin specifically.
And even if it's Rhinos or it's Carnegie.
And then also, I want to sponsor a not a kind of speed skier, like a ski jump skier. That's what I want to sponsor.
It's called ski jump, isn't it?
Yeah, ski jump, yeah.
I thought it was not called something else.
That's what I want to sponsor. That specifically. And a sin bin.
Yeah. Well, that's...
The Canadian ski jump team, that's what we want to sponsor.
Just so we can ruin them.
So we can build that bridge. I'm all about building bridges now, change your mind.
Oh, so the war ceased?
Well, provided they let us sponsor the ski jump team, then yes.
Okay, so that depends on that. I mean, I still have a bit bitter about it, but
Nah, get over it, Chris.
Can't.
It's 2020 now.
I mean, it's been 2020 for the past several weeks.
I've just realised that.
All right, so
leave that 2019. Anyway, enough of that shit. Let's get on with the episode.
Okay.
As always, start off with a few little admin-y type bits. I think you should already be doing and should already know, but for whatever reason, if you're not doing it...
If you're a brand new listener and listening to episode 8...
Yeah, then that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But anyway, thank you.
But not that it really is like a... It's not like we do like a little bit of a story per episode.
There are things that continue across the episodes, though, I feel like.
Well, they have to listen to the episode, don't they?
Where you would be lost if you just jumped in,
But would you want to be lost? Sometimes, in life, you need to be lost. If you look at a cave...
Who's trying to get as many in this 5 minute section?
What?
This is now Chris's Zen podcast, his meditation podcast.
Well, as you know me, James, I sometimes start saying really random stuff. And it's inspired by nothing but lunacy and craziness.
Okay, so anyway, as always, as you should all know, shout out to Gilbert for the intro and outro. Link in the description. Check him out. Chris, what socials are we on? Where should people be following us?
Instagram,
yeah.
Twitter,
that's one.
But Facebook, if you feel like it.
Yeah, probably not Facebook though. Who uses Facebook?
YouTube. Spotify, the profile, so you can listen to our playlists.
Just search the Peter Spice Show, no spaces.
And then obviously podcast platforms,
Breaker, Castbox, Spotify, Apple,
Overcast,
Google Podcasts now. Let me check.
Again,
this is a recurring thing now. I'm going to check if I need to make sure that episode 7 went on Google Podcasts. Episode 7's on there. I felt there are other ones as well that we're missing out maybe, but just go on the Twitter or
Stitcher,
that's it, or the Instagram. Click the Linktree link in the bio, and that will then take you to a page with all our links. If you follow us on Spotify or Apple, there's the actual episodes on there, and then if you actually click the link to the playlist in that description, you can then go to our profile on those things and get all the episode playlists, including the Mega Mix now, which has every song on there ever. I did, unfortunately, in fairness, I've not listened to much anyway, but I forgot about the playlist last week. So this week you got a bumper playlist this week. There's going to be all sorts of shit on there.
Good, that's what we want.
All sorts of shit.
But yeah, I've been listening to that playlist, the Mega Mix playlist when I have that time. Yeah. So go from a Radiohead song to some.
It's quite eclectic.
Underground hip hop.
Yeah.
Then to grime. Then back to some underground hip hop. And maybe another grime track. Back to underground hip hop. And then some alternative music.
And the good thing is, though, there's not many songs that I've put on there. There's I don't think there's any actually. There's like a jokey song. If you get what I mean.
What do you mean?
As if we've been talking about a song and it's on there as a bit of a joke. Like every song that I put on there is a song that I actually really like. So it's been.
We have got Toss a Coin to the Witcher.
Oh, actually, okay, that's you that added that, not me. You said that's not a good song.
It's a fantastic song, but you can tell that it could be a joke song.
What I'm saying is all killer, no filler. That's what I'm saying.
Like Sum 41.
Sum 41.
We are the Sum 41 of all podcast playlist creators.
But the late 90s Sum 41.
Oh,
late 90s, early 2000s. When the fuck was Sum 41?
Early 2000, wasn't it?
Was it?
Well, maybe what? It could be late 90s actually.
Fat Lip.
In Too Deep. What was the other single?
Those were the two. Those were the only two.
But it was all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
They delivered on that promise.
Well, there you go. So yeah, follow us on there.
We could say all filler, no killer. That could be our motto.
It could be. that could mean all sorts, Chris. But yeah, and also just engage with us on there. We've got basically the Instagram is just other random podcasts who clearly have no intention of listening to our podcast, but just want us to follow them.
I mean, we'll follow them, but we're not going to be if we're not listening to.
It's kind of like what we were saying last week about the parasite metaphor about enemy and those kind of magazines feeding off each other. That's podcasters and Instagram. They all just follow each other
on Twitter
to boost it and never listen to each other, and that's it. So yeah.
So shout out to all those podcasters that end up listening to us.
Thank you to all those podcasts. We're not going to name you because you're parasites. Anyway. Wow. So yeah, moving on.
So Which is hashtag parasites of podcast. I don't know. I'll work on that.
Work on that one. So right, last week just gone, Chris. What have you been listening to?
Well, after loving the new Billie Eilish "No Time to Die" Bond theme,
yep,
words are escaping me.
A film of the same name as what you just
surprisingly. I listened to Billie Eilish's album.
Oh yeah, band.
I really like it.
Very well, yeah.
I think it's weird how she is so popular with that sound.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's not. It is pop in it, really. It is.
Is it? It's more alternative.
Yeah,
especially you can call it alternative
pop. Yeah, alt pop.
Yeah, if that's good, that's probably going to be the new genre she defines, I reckon.
But I know what you mean, that it's not,
because it's such an eclectic way of how all the sounds are.
Yeah,
and how she uses her voice. It's just you won't catch Ariana Grande or anyone doing that.
It's both things in it. So obviously it's her and her brother that does the production.
How do you say his name? Is it Phineas?
Phineas, isn't it?
Phineas.
I think so. So
I can look at it as Phineas.
But her voice isn't, the typical kind of glossy pop voice, and then as well the production and the beats are not your typical.
She's definitely inspired by Lana Del Rey in some of those songs.
Yeah, but with voice wise, the songs, they don't sound like Lana songs.
No, but there's a couple of songs where you could tell. I'm trying to think what the song was for Lana did, but it was like really, really similar in terms of how the structure was. And okay, so there's definitely some sort of influence on them, which is not a bad thing. She's a great person to be influenced too. But I think it's a really good album. I'm really glad to listen to it.
Yeah, I think I kind of said this before when we were talking about because it was one of my honourable mentions, whatever, for the 2019 roundup. I think for someone that is so young and for a debut album, she's clearly got her own thing going on, which is pretty unique.
Do you know what? I thought about this actually after listening to the album, and then I was going to message you, but I completely forgot. But it'd be interesting to go toe to toe with Billie Eilish's "What Happens When You Go to Sleep." Is that what it's called?
When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
Where do we go? Same. You got the meaning. And then Lord's "Pure Heroine," because Lorde was really young when she did that as well, and that's also a very defining album. It'd be interesting to see which one is the better of the youngest artists. Because they're both. Well, she was 17 as well, 18 when she dropped Pure Heroine.
Maybe a bit older. I'm not sure though. I think I know I've listened to the Billy one more recently, but from memory, from which I enjoyed listening to first of all most, I think it was the Billy one. But
I'd have to go back.
Yeah, but I listened to the Lorde one for
She must be dropping a new album soon, Lorde, surely. So I really, really like that. What else have I listened to? I listened to.
Anything else you've been catching up on again from kind of
last year? Well, that was one of them, and then one wasn't really last year. Like Rosalia.
El Mascara.
Is that how you say it?
El
Mal.
Oh, El Malcara.
Carrera. Really, really good.
It was really good. That was one of my albums of 2018, definitely. Top 10, easy.
But I mean, it won 2019's Best Latin Music, didn't it? At the All Grammys.
Just Latin music. Latin, any other genre you want.
Latin, it's really interesting, that album. I don't know what I want to go back to, because obviously I don't, I'm sure you're the same, you don't speak the language, so it's not like it hits you straight away.
GCSE Spanish.
Alright, so you know everything she's saying.
I'll translate it for you, mate.
Okay, well I want that.
We'll do a live stream.
I think it's really, really cool. It's music I wouldn't necessarily checked usually because of like a language barrier, which can always be sort of a factor in these sort of things. But because of because I really listened to the song with James Blake, because obviously it was on the Mega Mix on it. I was like, God, I forgot how amazing that song is anyway with her. And then just what she adds in that new single that she dropped this year, I really, really enjoyed as well. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just check it out. And I really, really liked it. I think
as well, if you only listen to, because the last kind of year and a half, she's blown up quite a lot. She's got a lot more features with big artists, like James Blake, Travis Scott remix on that Jack Boys album, which wasn't that good, but anyway. Right. But I think, and if you listen to the songs that she does with other people, her actual album isn't so much like that. Like, there's a lot more like flamenco stuff, that kind of stuff.
It's definitely more like style, but then that style's like, it's weird. I've probably said this about a bazillion times about different sort of like albums, and I've probably said this quite a lot with some hip hop that kind of bring back sort of certain eras, but it's like bringing that music but into a modern audience. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that so many times throughout our sort of podcast series, but it is that it felt like, oh, you've heard these traditional sounds before, but then you've got this sort of slight twist with the sort of what's kind of going around the soundscape at the moment, and that's what I think is really good about it.
Yeah, great album. Listen to the album as well.
Yeah, definitely. What else? That's quite a bit actually. So, Husk Kingpin's End of a Decade.
Was that 2019? That one
that came out last year. He weirdly follows us on Twitter randomly.
Okay.
That's not the reason why I listen to it. I haven't even listened to him.
If you want to listen to your album, just follow Twitter. It's that easy.
That's how we sell out. No, so Husk Kingpin's a New York rapper. He's got that sort of like golden age. Again, bringing it to modern sound, but it's just that golden age sort of sound. He's very, very similar to a guy called Rock Marciano, which is actually how I came across him originally. So I can't remember if this was on Mellow Music. I feel like it was, and that's a label I'm going to talk a lot about over the course of this podcast series, anyway. But so Rock Marciano produced an entire album called the Cognac Tape with Husk Kingpin. I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And Husk sounds very similar. He sounds like a younger brother of Rock Marciano. It's that sort of gritty New York sort of golden age sort of raps, and again, it's the sort of sound that I really, really like. As an East Coast rap person, as long as you've got that sort of style, that sort of flow, that sort of descriptions of that sort of New York City, that sort of some luxury raps, a bit like Action Bronson, all that sort of stuff. It's just going to cater for me. I think my only issue with the album, it's a bit too long. It's like 56 minutes. Which,
that's that kind of bracket where it's a bit...
When it gets past 45 minutes, I'm like... Yeah. 40, I think because we now, I suppose, have to listen to more albums because we do a music podcast, it gets a bit... There's other things we have in life that we want to do, so it's like we don't have all the time in the world. Other than that, though, I've realised I've not listened to any of his stuff since Cognac Tape, which came out like 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few albums since then, so I might revisit them over the course of like the next few months or something like that. But worth checking out if you like that sort of New York East Coast rap. I also listened to the new Flame and Lips album.
That was from...
Well, it was from Record Store Day last year that then came out later on.
Right, yeah.
Or was it either from Record Store Day the year before and then came out last year?
Yeah.
Fucking weird.
Good weird?
Good weird, though. Weird. I like it. It's like a weird story about... But there's a lyric goes, he's a giant baby. Something like that, anyway.
And that's the first time we've actually remembered a specific lyric from a song.
I mean, I was paraphrasing that lyric. It might not be exactly.
Maybe not.
Something about being a giant baby. Basically, the whole story is about this person, this monarch, becoming the king after his mother dies. And it's like semi-serious, but like it's like I feel like if Monty Python wanted to make a weird psychedelic alternative like rock album,
yeah.
I think Flame and Lips are the people, aren't they?
No,
so it's cool. It's like what I said when we listened to King Gizzard. I listened to King Gizzard last month probably, and I said they're a bit of a tame version of Flame and Lips, and like I'm definitely right with that. I forgot how mental Flame and Lips and is it Wayne Coyne with the front singer his name. Just mental. I mean, remember when I first kind of got into them. I'm trying to remember what the album is actually. I want to go back to it because it's such a good album. But after that, I think. Did they do some sort of Record Store Day where it was like giant jelly babies, and then there was something where he had like a blood transfusion and put like his blood in like a vinyls. They're just fucking mental. And their music pretty much represents that. The fact they've been going on for such a long time as well is quite testament because it doesn't sound like this is a band that's been around since late 80s, early 80s. They still sound very, very modern, and they still kept their own sort of identity. Maybe in a way, they're sort of trendsetters from back in the day, really, because they are very much alternative psychedelic sort of music. And then round it off, we won't go through another one, but the other one we'll go through a bit later. But this morning I listened to Black Belt Eagle Scout. Was it at the part 2 with my brown friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool album.
From last year as well, is that?
I came from last year as well.
Nice. Yeah, so there's an album that we're both listening to that I'll mention. We'll actually go through. I've listened to a couple of albums from this year as well. There's a bit of a few jazz albums that I've been meaning to listen to. So there's We're New Again, which is the actual album is by Micaiah McCraven.
Gil Scott-Heron one.
Yeah, but it's a reworking of the Gil Scott-Heron.
Yeah, I've got to add that actually.
I can't remember what the actual album's called. It's like I'm New or something along those lines, which I enjoyed. There's a few bits that are reworked there's quite a lot of kind of interludes through the album, which doesn't ruin the album for me necessarily, but if you're trying to sit and listen to the album all the way through, it does get a bit where you're like, yeah, can we just kind of get on with this? But I really like it. I went back and listened then too as well, because back in, I think like 2011, GMXX did the same thing with the same album.
Yeah, that's
that's really good. So I went back and listened to that as well.
Didn't Gil unfortunately pass like a year after or somewhere around, or was it just after that or before that?
Possibly, yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I know the album, I think the GMXX one came out, I think he did that in 2011, so yeah, it might have been start of the decade.
That's what I loved about it, because you forget what a poet he was, Gil Scott-Heron, in a way. And then, have you seen First Man with Ryan Gosling?
No.
So it's got, I think Leon Bridges does it in the film, but it's got his Whitey on the Moon poem in it. And I was like, oh, I recognise this sort of style, and it sounds like Gil Scott-Heron. And I was like, I must have heard it before without realising. And then, Gil Scott-Heron, but it was, I think Leon Bridges or someone like that was like, did it in the film. Yeah, I mean, that newish album, that whatever it's called, I Am New, whatever it's called, that what got me into him. And then I started listening to back a few little albums before that. And it's just, yeah, incredible artist. And then that Jamie XX one was amazing. So I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, so the one back then was I'm New Here. That was the one that was the actual Gil Scott-Heron album. So yeah, I don't know if it's a different way of reworking it. I think overall, I think I still prefer the Jamie XX one. I think that's a better take on it, a better album altogether. But there's still a really good listen. So especially if you're into that kind of thing, then definitely. Also listen to Dark Matter by Moses Boyd, who is, I think, from the UK, fairly young guy as well. I think this is the first album he's done with him as like the band leader kind of thing. So it is a jazzy album, but there's a lot of other genres thrown into it as well. It's quite kind of drum heavy. So of other bits thrown into it. It's a really good mix. So I think even if it's not just a straight jazz album. So if you don't like jazz, I won't let that kind of turn you off it.
Yeah, so other bits that kind of complement it.
Yeah, and he's actually playing Leeds at Hedgerow House in like a week and a bit's time, but I'm away unfortunately. So
I might go test the waters. I'm gonna say then
5th of March. That is.
I might test the waters, mate.
5th of March, which is Thursday. So yeah, you could actually. Yeah, but yeah, real good album. I'd definitely give that a listen. To say is, I don't know exactly how old he is. I think Felicia is early 20s. So say he's a young guy. It's very very promising. I think. There's quite as well, just to quickly run through, because there are actually, now I've gone back and listened to quite a few singles, there's quite a lot of stuff that I actually listened to the back end of last week, I just forgot to put on the playlist.
All right.
And also, so just a quick mentions. New actual, I'd not really liked that much of his stuff before, but Run, new single by Joji.
No idea who he is.
No?
Oh, she is.
Filthy Frank on YouTube, you ever seen that?
No.
No, okay, anyway, right. Right, well, that's fine. I'll fill you there. So, Joji, he did do stuff on YouTube before. He had this character, Filthy Frank.
How filthy was he?
It's kind of, you have to kind of watch it really. It's obviously stuff that's hard on YouTube, so they're nothing too extreme, but yeah. And then he's brought music under the name Joji.
Right.
Everything so far has been alright. It's a bit kind of quite polished stuff like that. This new track's really good though. A few other ones. Let's have a look. There's another Strokes one that come out this week.
Song?
Yeah. Which is called Bad Decisions. I don't think it's not as good as At the Door, which I listened to really liked. This is still good though. New Weekend track as well, After Hours.
And Blackout Weekend now until the album's out.
Oh yeah, okay, right. I'll keep going. This one's actually really good.
Oh, you tell me if it's good.
I like this one. I think it's quite different from. I know you didn't listen to
the second single,
Blinding Lights, whatever that one was called. It's not, because that one was just straight 80s synthy kind of thing. It's not that. It's more traditional Weekend, but still really like it. Going back to my episode 0 playlist, New Enter Shikari track, which is actually quite good. Not even like a guilty pleasure. Just going back to that. What else? I mean, the album's out this week, but last week there were a new Grimes single from the album, which is really good as well. So all these are going on the playlist. And what else? New Rina Sawayama track as well, which is really good. I think all the singles from that album so far have been really good, so looking forward to that one. So yeah, and then we both listened to the new Tame Impala album.
Tame Impala, they call it.
The Slow Rush. So I've had a couple of. We were planning on doing like a massively in-depth review, but I don't think we've.
I only got around to listen to it last night.
Yeah.
And then
so we probably would be. We probably haven't listened to it all enough as a whole, as a collective to.
I mean, we may like dedicate. We could dedicate like I don't know, going through. Was it 4 albums now?
Yeah, I didn't realize it's been. I think it's been 5 years since the last one came out. Which
would that make sense? Because I can't remember. How long have I known Matt now? Because I feel like I've known Matt when Currents came out.
Currents 2015, which is I think it's crazy. That literally seems like to me it came out like 3 years ago or something like that. That doesn't seem like 5 years ago.
Doesn't seem like that far away.
No.
He's always kind of like been in some sort of spotlight, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah. Lonerism came out 8 years ago.
That's such a good album.
Crazy. So this album, I thought it was not necessarily what I expected, in the sense that, I mean, I just might be misremembering things here, but it's a lot more, not a lot more, but quite a lot more kind of electronic,
I think,
heavy than the last, previous albums.
Right, yeah, so I was thinking that as well. But I think if I remember Currents as much as I possibly can, this is like kind of what Matt kind of said to us in our group, actually. It's definitely a natural evolution from Currents of what I can remember it. That's probably why we need to go through probably the other 3 albums as well as this one again to kind of like, okay, understand and have a bit more of an in-depth review, because this album is definitely more, not like they'll never ever like, accessible, but it's more accessible than the other albums. But then again, it could be the case that I can't remember fully the other albums properly, so I don't know. That's what I was trying to think of when I was listening last night. I was like, what? It definitely didn't sound like Lonerism or the first album. I do remember what I can remember of Currents, so yeah, I liked it.
I really like it. It's
definitely going to be a massive grower for me. Like, I think it's not a bad album at all.
Yeah, so I've listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times all the way through, and it has grown me since the first time I listened to it. Part of it is, I do think what we've been saying before about single stuff like ruining an album or whatever. I think that in general the singles, and because they were I think there's maybe 4 singles that got released from it. The singles are probably the best tracks on the album, but I don't think it necessarily takes away from the actual album. Like, the album as a whole isn't as good as if you had an album full of songs of that quality of the singles. But the other tracks I think can stand up on their own as well. I think they're all very danceable. I can imagine them being really, really good live.
I feel like you can always, any sort of indie alternative sort of, night at a pub or something. These songs, like, you can just jam to, can't you? Really? Like,
I think as well. Even if you are going to be I can understand if you listen to this and are disappointed for any reason, but I think that's more like to their credit. It's because they're that good that if the same songs were coming out with any other band, you'd be like, holy shit, this is great.
Yeah.
But it's just because they do it that well. And
is it because like they've set the bar high for themselves?
I think so. I think they almost. I mean, I said they were saying they. I know it's obviously just pretty much Ken Park that does it. It almost kind of makes it like effortless almost. They're just.
It feels like he just goes into like the studio and they just go, right, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's just a fucking sick song. Doesn't sound like they're trying that hard to do it. It's just
not they need to.
Yeah,
but
I think that's almost like part of the appeal, really, as well.
Yeah, because like I think if I remember what of Currents, I remember really liking it, but then never really going back to it. Unlike Lonerism, where I just couldn't stop like wanting more from Lonerism.
Yeah, I think Currents for me was more. I do go back to certain songs, but Lonerism I go back and listen to the full album, whereas Currents I'll listen to maybe 4 or 5 songs that I know I really like from the album rather than sit and listen to the full album.
Which I don't have Lonerism on vinyl. So you get that.
I think I do actually. No, I got it in a speaker. Got that on sale like a couple of weeks ago. Crash.
Oh really?
Yeah. They had a sale on for like 10-15 quid, something like that. So might as well. So, but yeah, again, we could even do a mini episode actually, couldn't we?
Yeah, so stay tuned for that because it's not like we did kind of like tease it, but then stuff happens and there's too much stuff to listen to or get around to and things like that. Not that I didn't want to get around to it. So my goal was to listen to it on Wednesday before going to work, and I listened to it again yesterday. I mean, things I didn't even do anything yesterday. That's why I didn't know so I didn't listen to it a few times, but I just didn't get around to it for whatever reason. I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I think we'll do a mini episode either next week, the week after, or week after that. There will be a mini episode about Tame Impala. Maybe we both revisit the other albums to kind of get a bit more scope of it as well.
I think so.
But but for me though, because the thing is, the reason why I don't have an in-depth sort of thinking about it is, reflection on it, is the fact of, I just enjoyed the entire listen. The 55 minutes, whatever it is, went by.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, 52 whatever it is minutes.
Yeah. It's almost what you were saying before about some albums being too long. This whilst it is a long album, like the Green Day one, that's like a 20-minute album. It felt like I was sitting there for like fucking 3 hours. This is like
it's just such an enjoyable experience, which is what I was wanting. But I think because I was enjoying it, it's weird. It's like I was enjoying it too much for me to like want to kind of look at it in more of in depth in terms of each song. Mm-hmm. Because it just flies by, and I was just chilling, sat there in front of my speakers, just chilling, not doing anything else. I was like, oh, this is really, really good. And by I realised it was like the last track. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do a mini episode. We'll do a Tame Impala episode. We'll go through the biography, where Kevin Barker was born. What his astral side is.
We won't talk about any actual music.
And then the last 5 minutes we'll be like, okay, this is the in-depth review.
We'll just give you a quick ranking of the albums. That's it. So yeah, anything else that you've listened to that you quickly want to mention, or is that round it out?
That's about it. I think. I don't really listen to anything else apart from those.
Yeah, those are the main ones that I've listened to. I feel like I'll probably end up listening to a couple of other bits, and then again, check out the playlist. Pretty much everything we talked about, albums, singles, whatever. There'll be stuff on the playlist, so you can, if you like a single that's from an album, you can then find the album from that single.
Yeah, you got in every episode, the first like half an hour, whatever it will be.
Yeah,
will be songs that we listen to, and we'll put albums we listen to, songs we listen to, and we put those songs from albums or singles we listen to that we liked on playlists. So
yeah, I think as well, if you don't want to wait for the playlist to come out and go through it song by song, pretty much all these albums that we listen to through the week, it goes on the Instagram story, but if it goes on Twitter, it goes on there with the link to the album on Spotify and Apple, so you can literally... This is more to do with, we're going to actually tell you what we think here, but, look on there, you can actually listen, through the week, if you're the one.
Well, once we build some sort of community,
we're getting there.
That's what we want. So, like, the idea is that if we listen to something brand new, we put all the links on there, you can listen to that. You can probably maybe have speak to us during that time before we even record the podcast. So we're going to talk about that album, and then we can share sort of certain people's opinions as well as like counteracting them as well on Twitter as well as on here. So.
And as well, if there is stuff from the week just gone or last couple of weeks or however long, and it's not been on the playlist and we've not mentioned it and listened to it, then drop us a tweet, comment on an Instagram post, YouTube video, whatever. Tell us, listen to this shit, and probably will.
It depends, but we'll see.
We'll squeeze some in. Anyway, that wraps it up. On to the news.
The news.
The news.
News.
We are back with the news. So, the past week and one thing beyond then, because we were going to talk about it last week, then we kind of run out of time, and then we thought, might need to fill some time this week as well.
I mean, I edited out that little conversation about it.
Oh, I wonder about that if you did. I trusted you to do it.
Although it just still sounded like we're still going to do something, and then I just cut the bit out as smoothly as I could possibly do it.
So, yeah, what we were going to talk about last week, which is... I don't even know when this happened, because I feel like I heard about it ages ago, but then this article's only from the start of the month, is one of the... So the lacquer that goes on vinyls, one of only 2 factories that it's produced in was burnt down. Either I think it must have been end of last month or something like that, which was in California.
Yeah.
Let's say near the actual factory. So now the only factory now that is doing it is produces this lacquer is in Japan. So I'm guessing nothing's going to happen immediately, because there's going to be supplies and stuff like that. But first of all, it's pretty shit, because it's someone's business and there's people who work there, and they're clearly going to be a little bit fucked because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, a lot of vinyls not going to be made, really, which is the depressing thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I think, remains to be seen what's going to actually happen. And again, I don't think it's nothing really is going to happen immediately, but yeah, we could see in the kind of near future, I suppose.
I wonder if they'll change at some point different materials to make vinyl.
I think you'll have to do, because there's other articles I've read as well about.
It's only finite that we've got.
And as well, like the actual environmental impact of vinyls is pretty.
That's what
terrible.
I was just genuinely thinking about that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Because there must be other materials.
There must be like a clean way of making a vinyl, and still have it sound as good. I suppose you'd have to then make it. That would jack up the prices though, probably, as usually these sort of things start off anyway. But then you'd have to make it almost like 180 grand worth, just to kind of make sure that you've got that sort of the grooves there for that. Because I'd imagine it's going to be difficult if it's going to be a different material. But then surely you'd think, since the vinyl industry has regained its sort of hold on the music industry, you think they would have figured out there must be somewhere. We should figure that out. Not us figure it out, and then we should try and find research me. In terms of what's actually what are the methods there is to vinyl.
I think first of all, like the pricing thing, given the resurgence vinyl's at, I don't know. I know that obviously sometimes I might be forced to look at the prices, but I think if you increase the price too much, it could be massively detrimental to the actual industry, because people are pretty used to paying a certain bracket price for an album, aren't you? You're talking normally £20 to £35-ish, aren't you, for a normal album that comes out? If those prices start going up, I think a lot of people just...
Yeah, but they'll go up initially, won't they? And then they'll end up when they can make it... It's like technology, isn't it? When they can make it quicker and more efficient, then the price starts to go down a little bit. Also, we've always got inflation, which is the problem. But then, I don't know, like, it's just... I mean, vinyl is a premium product anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have to, because we live in a time where we stream stuff. So if you don't want to buy the album for, say, now it's 40 quid, we can still listen to it anyway as many times as you want beforehand. Save up for it and then buy it. Which is kind of like how I look at it anyway. If I want to get an album, if I feel like I can't really fit my budget this time, I'll still listen to it obviously when I'm streaming, but in terms of, okay, well, I'll just put some money aside maybe next month or the month after, and I'll just buy it on vinyl. It's just like, he's got to approach it in a different way. No one's got infinite amount of money anyway, so if you really like an artist, then obviously buy it straight away if you really want to. If not, just save up.
Yeah, and so the article that we have been reading here was on Vinyl
Factory.
Vinyl Factory. So apparently there are other methods that can be used.
They've not burnt down, have they?
No, this is. I mean, the website is still there, so the website isn't burnt down. But there is another way that you can do it: direct metal mastering, that it doesn't actually mean you don't need the lacquer to do it, but apparently it favours higher frequencies, and you need a special cutting tool which isn't widely available apparently. So there are ways around it, not normally, and according to this article, thankfully, there were no injuries to citizens or firefighters during the incident as well, which is obviously the main thing, you know.
Yeah, that's not important.
Yeah, we have stuff like records, really, aren't we? So it's not the end of it's not the end of the world. But we'll see. Hopefully, from a selfish point of view, that doesn't start costing £45 for a record. But
no, for sure. Imagine record store day. You have to get a loan out, get a loan out each year. No,
I'll sell my left kidney, Chris. That's what I'll do. You don't need kidneys.
I mean, record store day is generally expensive anyway.
Yeah. They don't hike it up
because there's more premium stuff in it, so it's like,
great.
More on that when it comes nearer to the time. Though.
Yeah, if anyone needs a kidney, then contact us on Twitter. I'll sell you mine.
Do you have a particularly weaker kidney?
Do you need kidneys, really?
We need one.
Do you? Has it been tested to see if you do? I'll sell both.
I'm pretty sure you do.
I'll sell both.
Okay, well, slowly dying. Pain.
Also, so this week, news came out that Pop Smoke, who I think New York rapper, I think.
He's from Brooklyn, I think.
Yeah.
Although he's an East Coast person, I've actually got around to ever checking him out.
Well, he had an album mixtape out just earlier this year, like literally last week, I think.
I've just downloaded it. I've not listened to it yet.
Yeah, but unfortunate news came out that actually, what seems to be the case at the minute anyway, killed in a home invasion.
Mm-hmm.
So again, only
was it when he was in LA though, wasn't
it? Yes, yeah. It's been the LA police that brought it out. So yeah, a robbery in Hollywood, and I think it seems like shot in the robbery. But again, I mean, only I think 20, I think. So again, it's like, I know it's different circumstances, but I mean, it's what since we actually started the podcast, like the third or something rapper we've talked about. That's
Juice WRLD.
I suppose we've talked about Mac, haven't we? But that word, last year. That's probably what I'm thinking. But yeah, sad news.
Super sad. We'll put. I mean, I don't know whatever his famous song is. We'll put that on the playlist. But I think I saw like an interview with the New York rapper who's been around for the game. My boy Jadakiss. I've probably mentioned about 3 times now in the past several episodes. He was quoted saying that he's seen more people, more youngsters, at least youngsters anyway, die in the past several years than his entire career. And he's been around since the early mid-90s. And when I think about it, I would probably wholeheartedly agree, even for me being a fan of hip-hop. I think the issue is because, one, we'll probably see more artists die anyway, whether they're big or not, because everyone can be a musician now, no matter what. So it's going to be the more, the numbers are going to increase in that sort of aspect. This was a guy who was on the verge, apparently, and again, I've not checked him out, of blowing up. If you look at the features on that new mixtape album, got like people like Quavo and stuff like that on there. So he's obviously around that sort of bunch of people. I think it's just, obviously it's the second recently of the younguns that have died getting robbed. Obviously, XXXTentacion was when he was shot in his car, and stupidly someone found him and filmed him. So I think with him being 20 years old, that's the worrying thing. But I suppose ignorant people outside hip hop are like, well, it was probably in those sort of circles. What did you expect? Yeah, maybe so. But at the same time, was it because he's pushed to that lifestyle? I don't know. It's all very touchy circumstances that you can talk about. Like, you don't really know much. I don't know much more about his background or anything like that. I don't know. I think it's just worrying that another 20-year-old, potentially big rapper that we could have seen in 10 years' time change and maybe change the game, change as a person if he had sort of mob ties or anything like that, or his music would have maybe evolved. that was my issue with Juice WRLD, my issue with XXXTentacion. Like, we just don't ever, especially with Triple X, where all the shit where I know it's alleged that abuse of his, his baby's mother and stuff like that. Either way, whether these evil things he may or may not have done, alleged to have done, he still was a young person that could have easily changed, rehabilitated, and could have really, really changed everything going forward. Pottsmouth could have been that sort of person. It does sound like a lot of shout outs from some rappers that I really like. Saying that apparently it sounds a bit like 50 Cent back in the how when 50 Cent came out originally. So I'm interested to hear that. I'll probably listen to this week. Mm-hmm. I'll probably give a review of the album next week. But yeah, it's a shame. 20 years old.
Yeah, and I think there is still, given that it's been so recently, I think there are still things coming out about it. But even whatever the actual circumstance was around it and about the robbery, it still didn't change back to what's happened, really, does it? And it's just a sad thing, really. I think even from I think the weird thing with, especially like the one with XXXTentacion as well, from like a point of view over here, kind of goes without saying that someone being shot in a robbery in general is just like a weird thing in it. And yeah, if only there was somewhere to make sure that you couldn't get shot in a robbery. But yeah, that's a separate issue.
That's a separate issue, but guns are always going to be available regardless. Guns are being made. There's bazillion guns being made. So whether you ban it outright or not, there's people can have guns down London and even here in Leeds and stuff like that. I'm sure there is all over the place. We just don't know about. But again, that's a separate issue in it. But
welcome to the Gun Control Podcast.
But we make you decide if you want to be pro or anti. I think the issue is that we've got another young rapper on the verge of making it big, slain or overdosed. Rest in peace, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if there's any big things that happen with the story, we'll mention.
I think it's pretty much that what it is.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. But yeah, rest in peace. But anyway, moving on to something a bit more trivial, I suppose.
Yeah,
the BRIT Awards. Woo.
Yeah, we as you can tell, we didn't do any sort of.
I didn't realise when they were. I didn't realise they were
this
week.
To be honest.
I think we had like at least another week or so.
I thought we did as well. I thought it was end of the month.
Yeah. So anyway, it is that time of year. It's awards season. I know this is like a recurring thing. We promise this won't be every single episode. I feel like after these ones, that is pretty much.
I think we're going to say that now, and I don't know. The music awards of excellent reviews.
Yeah. In fairness, I feel like we wouldn't have actually mentioned the NME Awards if that slow tie thing hadn't happened. If that hadn't happened, I don't think we'd have mentioned them at all. So.
Well, we thought with that better mention it now. Yeah. In a way, this is similar circumstances though, because there's a couple sort of maybe one main story that's come out of it. Anyway, so
what's the main story that you're thinking of?
Well, I'm thinking of Dave.
Oh, the date, right, okay. You can speak about that, then we'll go through the nominations. I suppose that's the main performance that's kind of going viral, doing the rounds.
Rallied everyone.
Yeah. So you can mention that, and I'll do the nominations.
So Dave performed the incredible song Black of Psychodrama. He also won. Well, I will go through that later. Bury the lead. So he performed Black, playing piano. Then halfway through the piano, some other guy, I can't remember what his name was.
Some other guy, I don't know who he was. I've got no idea.
Made out to be some proper pianist.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, he came on, because it was like a dual sort of piano, which was weird. Anyway. And then in the middle of it was like, a cool little sort of video sort of screen that was going up and down. That was a bit strange. But so he performed Black. Then must have been near the end of the second, third verse. He kind of got up and then kind of had a few extra lines, which I think were very, very good. It's caused a lot of people.
And the crux of it was, he said Boris Johnson were a racist.
But even if you're least racist, you're still racist. I think it's not one of the lines, isn't it?
Even the least racist is still racist, or something like that. Yeah.
And he mentioned about obviously Grenfell, so people not having accommodation at the end as well. Yeah. But then again, in the part of that though, it's like all I want is peace and all that sort and unity. Like, he even says that in the lyrics. Like, people that are not even focusing that. He's not trying to make everyone riled up. There is bits in there where he wants people to kind of all get along. He's not trying to make it a black versus white thing. Oh, of course he's not. He's trying to show that there is these different dimensions that people don't realise. That's what the main song's about that anyway. And then adding this bit of more sort of recent sort of political sort of climate, I think it's brilliant. And I think, it completely took me by surprise that he was going to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually... It was on Wednesday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So neither of us actually watched it.
No, I just
actually live how it was happening. Just saw it afterwards. I think the thing is, with anything like this, anytime that, not even, I think the reaction's worse when it's, especially someone who's young and a guy and black. The reaction's worse than if it were anybody else saying that kind of thing. But as soon as that happens, you know exactly what the not mainstream reaction's going to be, but like a certain section, what the reaction's going to be. It's a lot. It's either you don't actually know what you're talking about, so shut up and pipe down, or it's
a knee-jerk reaction to a certain line and not listen to the entire thing.
Yeah. Or the reaction is, you're in this position, you should shut up and be grateful for it, basically, and that's it, and leave it at that. Which I just think the thing is, however, whatever you say about it, you just know for a fact that next time it happens, it's just going to be the same thing. Which I don't think there's a. I think that kind of section of the media. I don't think that those kind of comments. Right, I suppose they are right wing. Commentators for whatever newspapers, columnists, whatever. I don't actually think they believe anything they're actually saying. They just get paid well to say it and have an audience of people who listen to it. Like there was we'll keep talking as I find it, but there was a tweet that went out about it was a columnist for I can't remember what newspaper it was, to be honest with you. Okay, Brendan O'Neill, whatever he edits, it might be Spiked Online. So there was a screenshot of when Stormzy did something, I'm guessing at the Brits the Brits in 2018. I can't remember exactly what it was, or it might have been maybe just after the Brits. There's a screenshot of what he said about that happening when Stormzy did it, and then a screenshot of what he said about Dave doing it, and it is like pretty much word for word the exact same thing.
Right.
And it's like you're not even trying to hide the fact that you're just churning out the same shit, and as you say, like if you actually engage with what he's saying, maybe you don't think Boris Johnson's racist, okay,
but it's the point that he's trying to make.
Do you agree that people whose flats burnt down should have somewhere to live? Yeah. Like, do you have a problem with someone saying that?
And that's because of them not checking, not having cladding. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is the thing is with that song initially as well, it just shows what when people go about raps this and that. Listen to that song. It's not all about what you think it is.
It's like if it's rap and it's about as people will argue, doing drugs, fucking gangs, shit like that. They have a problem with it because it's a bad influence. If it's something like that where it's trying to actually engage and raise awareness and make people actually think about stuff, then it's you should just be grateful and shut up. And it's like, well, maybe you just don't like black people, young black kids making music. Maybe that's what it is.
Or that whole young black kids thing, but the Derby, you hear about that Derby thing in football?
Yeah.
It's almost like that. It's just using a stereotype, but it's just like, what the fuck? Because obviously what happened from it was like this "Who's Dave" trending on Twitter, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And there was loads of racist parents. I never saw the racist stuff on it, but because a lot of people battled it, saying, "Well, this is who Dave is. He's a guy who's won the Mercury Prize. He's got an album of the year. He's been nominated several times, and he's only 20. It's like he is a prolific artist who is from England, and we should be celebrating him and not trying to bring him down because he's got this opinion, which he's got a rightful opinion of.
Like, in fairness, the actual, and I mean, we'll mention this when we talk about the awards, the actual album itself, I like the album, but like I don't like it as much as you do. And
but it's what I said, though, isn't it? What I said is, I felt like when Dizzy Rascal's Boy in the Corner came out.
Yeah.
I think it's a game-changing album because it's an album that's got a whole various different styles. It's not traditionally grime at all because he's not a grime artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's more like southern UK hip hop, and he's got story tracks like that, and story tracks about how he feels and stuff like that. I know a lot of people brought up, oh well, there was one tweet I saw, well, his brother's in jail for murder, just says a lot about him, doesn't it? It's like
no,
it
says a lot about his brother.
Like that doesn't mean that that everyone has the same sort of cast dyed on them, and you're doing that because you don't think he can change it all if that is the case. So that is bullshit. But no, what I was saying about Psychodrama is that I feel like that is an album that will define a lot of things going forward.
I know what you mean, but even then, regardless of what you think about the album, take that away, I do still think that stuff like that and people who have a platform using the platform it's just
in a positive manner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is good. Yeah, it wasn't as abrasive as Slow Tie.
as well, I just think like if you are someone on the right, I feel like you must understand that young people don't like Boris Johnson, and I just get over it. Like it is. Why does it matter to you? He's the Prime Minister. At the end of the day, what does it matter to you if a fucking 24-year-old rapper's getting up on stage and saying
because rap now in the UK is a new punk. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It not that it would have been as bad, but if you look at people like Clash and stuff like back in the day and all that sort of music, that was always against the monarchy, against the political structure, all that sort of stuff. Hip hop now is, in the UK, is the new punk. It's the new rebellious music. Although hip hop's always been a rebellious music, I guess, but it's now more mainstream in terms of the sort of public consciousness that people can have an adverse reaction to it regardless, and that's what it's simply is. It's worse because it's getting to the point where race is involved. That's the issue there. It's not like all punk bands pretty much in the past were predominantly white anyway, but now we've got this sort of area where music is more hip hop. That's where we're going to get, and that's what it is. Storms, he said it a bazillion times, and in some stuff. I think he's mentioned Grenfell before recently, and
I think this is right. Yeah, that's the thing for me as well. Is that the thing that I think I'm not saying I'd want to see more from Dave and like you say Storm specifically, but just in general, like actually, talking about specific things that are happening. It's easy just to get up and say fuck Boris in it, and everyone's like, well done, you said fuck Boris. Actually, bring awareness to specific issues like they are doing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
because he knew Jack Merritt, who was the help that, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs, but yeah,
that's why it was that verse was a bit dedicated. It just shows like he's not like he's and that kid was white.
Yeah, well, it's like even the Grenfell thing. I know the majority of people I think who lived in Grenfell were black, but he's a block of flats, isn't it? He's not. If you interpret him saying that people that lived in Grenfell should have accommodation is him talking specifically about black people, it's like that's maybe says more about you than it does him, I think. But yeah.
Well, again, and it shows you as well. I mean, he's a very strong-minded individual. He knows what he's saying. He's got great people around him. But it shows you what about the media, though. Especially off the. And this is a really good tweet, especially off the week ago where Caroline Flack unfortunately took her life, and what a sad affair that's happened day after Valentine's Day, and she may have been in the wrong in terms of the whole alleged assault of her boyfriend. Doesn't mean that she gets hounded by the media when she may have already had sort of certain sort of mental health problems beforehand. Doesn't help that at all. But it shows you how funny how we all preach this be kind. Hashtag be kind, or if you can be anything, be kind. Then literally, there's probably some of those same people who were preaching that are now spouting hatred towards.
I just think
for God's sake.
I'm not saying that it's not worth trying to change stuff, but the tabloids like the Mail and the Sun, they're not going to change no matter what happens, and no matter who, even if it is the worst case scenario and people are killing themselves, people they'll take articles down, whatever. But no, that's the limit of money. It's not going to change.
I just don't understand. Although it's not about music, I don't understand though that it's taking Caroline Flack to die for all other celebrities who are in the same sort of circle and get either paid to be in these sort of papers or paid in similar sort of areas. Go, oh, yeah, this is actually this is actually quite bad. Like, why is it taking someone to kill themselves to do that? That shows how fucking bad our goddamn fucking society is. That it takes a death to understand the situation. But that's again another matter.
Anyway, should we talk about the nominations then, Chris?
Go on then. I only know three people that have won.
Okay, well I know everything already. I've already looked.
So we can do a guess.
I'll tell you what, we'll run through because I feel like all the main categories anyway. There's a few other random ones, but they're all like decent categories. So for any international listeners,
they're not made up like the best lineup.
Best lineup in the world.
2019.
Yeah, in the world. Best headliner in the world 2019 in the world on the planet. So for everyone listening in Jamaica, the way the Brits works is it's basically an award show that's just dedicated because basically all the other award shows like the Grammys just not ignores, but basically shafts a lot of British artists.
Well, Grammys is basically American.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Except the Latin award for every Latin genre is this one award.
It's the North American. It's
pretty much. So anyway, there's two international categories. You've got first of all international male solo artist. The nominations were Burna Boy, Tyler, Post Malone, Bruce Springsteen, and Dermot Kennedy. Who would you like to win out of all of them?
Say that again, sorry.
Burna Boy, Tyler, Post Malone, Bruce Springsteen.
Well, did Tyler win this?
Dermot Kennedy. Tyler won that, yeah.
So I know 4 awards.
Okay. International female solo artist: Camila Cabello, Billie Eilish, Lana, Lizzo, Ariana.
I'm going to guess Billie.
Billie won that one as well, correct. Okay, so those are the international ones out of the way. There we go. We'll do the males. Okay, British male solo artist.
Stormzy.
You know who won that, do you?
Anyway, who was nominated though?
Stormzy, Dave, Marco Kiwanuka, Harry Styles, Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Stormzy.
The thing is, out of all those, and we'll talk about this. The Lewis Capaldi thing, I don't really get. He's
a lovable dude.
The Michael Kiwanuka album, out of all those, I think was my favourite album of last year. I really like that album.
So you listen to it?
Yeah. British female solo artist. Mahalia, Mabel, Charlie XCX, FKA Twigs, Freya Ridings.
FKA Twigs?
Mabel. I think this one is probably the biggest one that I have a problem with.
I didn't realise Mabel was the daughter of Nina Cherry.
Yeah. I didn't realise it until, literally on Wednesday night.
And I was like, I mean, I've really listened to Nina Cherry probably once in my lifetime, but, that's interesting. I haven't listened to Mabel at all, so...
So I think, out of all them, the Mahalia album didn't get onto any honorable mentions or anything, but I really like that album.
I never got around to it, so it's on my list.
It's a good album. And then the Charlie XCX, the FKA Twigs one was on my honorable mentions. It ended up in our top 10, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the Charlie XCX one is one of my favourite albums of last year. I think it's just fucking great. So, yeah, anyway. But I don't get to vote, so... So, next category, British group. Speaking of last week, D-Block Europe, Bring Me the Horizon, Foals, Bastille, and Coldplay.
They're not going to be bullshit and give it to Coldplay, are they?
They didn't give it to Coldplay.
Okay. Foals.
They give it to Foals. Which I think
it was the second bullshit one.
This goes back to my theory of last week of speaking again of the Parasite thing. That's just an easy thing in it. The two Foals.
Is it because they've never won it before?
I don't know, but the two Foals albums last year were really not that good.
First, I only to part 1. I thought it's all right.
Yeah.
It kind of was okay.
I do really like Foals, and I think they have some great albums. But unfortunately, those two last year weren't.
Do you think Foals may have peaked? That could be another topic we do. Before.
I don't necessarily think they've peaked.
Well, I've been peaked before,
but I don't, not necessarily. I think that if they carry on going the way they have done, in terms of the type of music they're trying to make, then they have peaked. But I think they could easily go back to what they were doing and actually make interesting stuff.
Antidote.
Yeah. But in general, I think that's a bit of a weak category, really.
Yeah.
Like, I think out of
that's
all
why
those,
I said if I give it to Coldplay.
The Bring Me the Horizon album was probably my favourite album out of those albums that came out last year, but that wasn't that good. It was alright.
You know what? I don't think I've ever listened to Bring Me the Horizons.
You listened to Bring Me the Horizon? Wow.
I think because
Chris.
Anyway,
moving on.
Do I need to be brought to the horizon?
Moving on. New Artist Award.
I'm going to guess Billie Eilish straight away. We're going.
Well, it's British artist, isn't it?
Oh, good for you. Well, British Irish.
So, H, Dave, Mabel, Lewis Capaldi, Sam Fender.
Well, it's Dave, isn't it?
Lewis Capaldi.
I knew it was Dave. Dave's won something. Oh no, I know what Dave won.
Which
Lewis Capaldi. Okay.
For that one as well, like I don't really. I feel like we talked about this in maybe the Grammys one. I don't see Dave as being a new artist for 2019. I know he had his first album out, but Dave's been around for.
What's the thing?
It's like a few years now, at least.
I think we got to look at it new, and not in terms of word for word. We've got to look at it in terms of when it's in the consciousness of like these people of these events. Because if people might not realise who Dave is, like the tweet was, until recently when that Psychodrama came out. So maybe to them it's a new act. So to that board of reviewers, shouldn't be the case.
I'd like Mihalis to be nominated for that one, to be honest with you. But anyway. Next, then, do you want to do British single or British album first? We're going to do British
single.
Do British single. Okay, so to run through, there's a few more for this one, so I'll run through quickly. Location: Dave and Burna Boy, Vossi Bop, Stormzy, Someone You Loved, Lewis Capaldi, Labrador Grove, AJ Tracy, Dancing with a Stranger, Sam Smith, Normani, Don't Call Me Up, Mabel, I Don't Care, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, Just You and I, Tom Walker, Giant, Calvin Harris, Rag and Bone Man, Nothing Breaks Like a Heart, Miley Cyrus, Mark Ronson.
That's a lot of songs.
So to recap,
AJ Tracy,
Lewis Capaldi again.
I was teaching on that.
And then last one, British album, Lewis Capaldi, whatever his album was called, Stormzy, Kiwanuka, Dave, Harry Styles.
Dave.
Dave, correct. I think as well that category there. I know it's been done to death about women not being nominated, but I think if you look at some of them albums, like I get the Stormzy one and the Dave one and them being probably the bigger albums and most in the conscious of that, but I think the FKA Twigs and I know you listen to the Charlie XCX one. I think both those albums are better than most of the albums on that list, really. And I think
even though we're not really in the music industry, but we kind of are by proxy. When we start understanding it, when we get into the nitty gritty, when we're on a review board, we can show the scoop then. Yeah. I think it'd be very interesting to understand how that even works in a way. You know what I mean? Because I don't.
The nominations and stuff like that. You mean?
How one because it. Is it like how you have in film the Screen Actors Guild, and sometimes because you have the SAG Awards, don't you? And they all like band together, but they have like something to do with like other major sort of film awards. So is that same thing with music, where are you part of a sort of club, in a way where you can cast a vote, and it's like a certain section of like members get the vote, and then the main board obviously picks from that.
I don't know, because there must be. So you must be able to just generally nominate anything you want. I feel like.
How big is the board?
Yeah, to begin with, and then obviously there's certain people who get to vote for whoever, and then that gets narrowed down into a short list, and then I feel like it's probably a wider pool of people who get to then vote on that.
Or has to be, but
maybe we need to investigate this.
The board for each of these award shows must be completely different.
It would be completely different, but then there will be people on multiple boards, won't there?
Yeah, that's what
I think it's probably for the music side of things. There's clearly less awards than there is for the film. I think if you look at the film, especially around that kind of Oscar season, there's a lot of different. There's critics guilds, screenwriters guilds, directors, whatever. But yeah, that's the thing as well, is that you hear a lot about a lot of backlash for the Oscars about the actual Academy, the board who get to vote, about the makeup of it in terms of demographic, things like that. You never really hear that same kind of thing with music, do you? No. So it's pretty much a faceless group of people who are voting on these kind of things.
Maybe it's an algorithm.
Maybe
really what's happening is there's several brands of computers in there. So you've got like IBM, you've got HP, you've got Apple.
They all just group together.
No, so they all pick an award show.
Yeah.
And then their supercomputer
just runs that shit.
Their AI runs that shit.
Wow. To be continued in episode 8.75.
0.7.
So, and in gen, have you got any finishing thoughts about those awards? I think some of them are deserved. Some are not. Some of the nominations are stupid.
But I think we're always going to have a problem with that, because for us two at least, anyway, we listen to a lot of different type of music. Or not different type of music, sorry. We listen to a wide range of music. So some artists will never get the props that maybe they do deserve, because then again, it's not in the consciousness of these boards that pick up.
That's true.
Like, it's my beef with, like, people will say, so-and-so is the greatest rapper alive, or someone's really amazing. I go like, yeah, but there's like 1,000 really amazing underground hip-hop rappers that you don't even know about.
That's true.
And I could easily name every single one of them almost, but you don't listen to it because it's not mainstream enough. And I've had to, realise I've lost that war and I can carry on. So that's kind of how it is, really.
That's true. So until next awards season, I think,
when we're on the board,
unless next week we figure something else out. Until the BRIT Spice Show Awards, we'll bring our own awards out.
Yeah, end of this year.
I'd love that. Anyway, I feel like, is that wrapping up the news?
That is the end of the news.
So yeah, done. And then we'll quickly run through some new releases from this week. There's actually a few that have come out that are probably going to be worth
more on the backlog.
Yeah, so I think main ones that kind of jumped out for me, the main one this week is probably the Grimes album. I'm a big Grimes fan, as I think I've said in other
Do you know what I was trying to think of when I looked at it today when it came out? Have I even listened to a Grimes album before?
Do you ever listen?
I feel like I have done, but then I feel like, what have I listened to?
Yeah.
I never actually went back. I was going to do it, and I never looked at what albums he's got.
So yeah, really looking forward to that. Pretty much I've liked all the singles at least. I've really liked quite a few of them, but there's none that have come out that I've been like, this isn't good. So really looking forward to that one. Then the new King Cruel one. I think the singles for me have been a little bit hit and miss. Didn't so much like the first one. Did like the second one that came out.
Yeah, I told you that one, wasn't it? The first one's like is really super understated. Where it's like, I kind of like it because it's a bit weird and strange. But then when the second one came out, that was much better. But I've heard I saw Pitchfork gave it 7.7 or something. So take that how you want. But
that's for this is a talk for another episode. That's a pet peeve of mine.
What?
Decimal places on review scores. It pisses me off, man.
So would you want it to be like
just a rat? You don't need just 7 or 8. You don't need a point.
Why not 7.5 though?
Because you don't need that.
But what of that album?
If it's out of 5, you can give it half a star. You can't give it. It needs to be an exact number. If it's out of 10, it's gonna be an exact number.
War the decimals come to a podcast later to you.
Anyway, new Ozzy Osbourne album. Ozzy, he's back.
Who did you see recently said that he's been battling since 2003 or 1 or something? So you know like how it came out recently about him having Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Apparently he's secretly kept that hidden since pretty much the Ozzy Osbourne show, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like with everything that has been happening, this seems like maybe is probably what will be his last album.
In a way, I'd hope so.
I'll give it a listen. Ozzy,
I don't mind Ozzy. I'll give it a listen.
And then for me, new BTS album as well. I'm a bit of a sucker for a bit of BTS, to be honest with you.
What does BTS stand for?
I don't fucking know, Chris.
Barmy.
I'll tell you what. You can tell us about the albums that caught your attention, and I'll find out what BTS stands for.
Barmy Tiger Syndrome.
What does BTS stand for?
British Tiger signs.
Okay, so it's an acronym for a Korean expression. So the actual BTS, I think, translates into Korean.
Behind the scenes.
But the English translation of what it stands for is Bulletproof for Boy Scouts.
Why are they calling that?
What? BTS? I don't know.
BTS. Bulletproof Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
That sounds so much cooler than BTS.
BTS, but yeah, I'll give that a listen.
Bulletproof Boy Scouts. So BPBS. Why do they call that?
Bulletproof, I don't know, just BBS in it.
But Bulletproof Boy Scouts.
Bulletproof is just one word.
Oh, I suppose so. But
BBS or BTS, assume it.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm going to give that a listen.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a listen. It's Korean. I suppose we both got a fondness for Korea, so when that'll be the first place we go to and tour. Korea.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, some of those albums are also for me as well. We've got Best Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get into Best Coast?
Not properly, no.
I think it's to the first album, but I didn't listen to them since maybe the second album as well. There's a nice little indie rock sort of album and a bit of folkiness to it as well. So they dropped a new album out. It's almost like third or fourth week in a row. Talking about a mellow music release. Eloquent.
Sponsor us.
Well, they will sponsor us when I do my piece of mellow music. I know that for a fact. Yeah, Eloquent. I think he's a bit like the Lasso. He is a producer, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't rap. I've listened to one of his instrumentals last year, I think, or year before. So again, just very really cool sort of hip hop, underground sort of sounds, and he's got a few rappers on there as well. He's got my boy Blue is on the album. So yeah, they've been teasing it for a while, mellow music. So I'm excited to hear what that's going to sound like. Then finally, my boy finally drops the album. Been waiting for it for a long time since Book of Rhyme, which was only about a year and a half ago, I think. Royce the 5'9" The Allegory. Or as James thought, I meant another person called The Allegory.
Which you didn't. You could have done.
Maybe that's an allegory for something else. So I think this is going to be the big album. Much like Book of Rhyme was. Book of Rhyme had a very sort of different sort of sounding to it, and even had Royce singing on probably one of the best tracks on it, which is Cocaine. About his dad and stuff like that. But judging by the singles, I felt this is going to be Royce, barring a good way though, everyone. He's going to have some really good introspective tracks. Some really good just general hip hop tracks. I mean, all the singles have been pretty fire in a way, but all the singles have been pretty much like him just doing what he does really, which you can spit. The better half of Bad Meets Evil, in my opinion, and I wouldn't say the best part of Slaughterhouse, but yeah, we won't go through that. But yeah, super excited. I can't remember what other people are on it there apart from what we've seen on the singles, but that's going to be an album I'm definitely going to listen to before we record next week. I need to listen to that.
Yeah.
Probably Sunday maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think there's quite a few releases really. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. No, those are the main releases for me, album wise. Anyway, there's a few other singles that have dropped, but we'll just talk about them next week. Probably they got on the playlist next week as well. So yeah, I guess wraps stuff up. As we said at the top of the episode, follow us: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple for the podcast and the playlists. Listen to the mega mixes.
Click on the link tree.
It is all
everything there.
You have no excuse now.
If you have made it to this part of this episode,
which of course you have done. But yeah, if there's anything else, anything we've missed, anything we should listen to that's come out this week that we've not mentioned there, because there will be. There'll be stuff that's come out that we don't know about.
Or even some stuff that you want us to tackle on.
Exactly. Any big news stories we've missed, anything like that, anything we should be talking about that we haven't.
Or ideas for us to do something different on the podcast.
Exactly. But yeah, I guess it wraps it up for me.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Next week. See you next week.
See you never. Next week.